Welcome to Truth and Transcendence. You can find all our other episodes on truthandtranscendence.com. Today's topic is the idea that you can change something by changing the environment it lives in. And this came through, this is something I'm quite connected to, actually, and in a lot of my work. And if you've worked with me with organizational change, or if you are involved with organizational change, you'll be familiar with this idea that when you change the environment, you, by ripple effect, you change things within the environment. So a flower bed, if the roses are not doing very well, if you water the garden regularly, feed it properly, cut down the hedge that's stopping the sunlight getting to it, whatever it is, or put up a screen because it's getting too much sunlight, then the dying roses will revive, or more likely to do so, because you've changed the environment that they live in. Some people think that the world is waiting for the right politicians to get into place, the right leaders, because the right leaders will then make the changes that are necessary for everything to be better. Other people think that if you change the environment within which the politicians and the leaders live, the environment they live in, change the environment, that will then change the nature of those politicians and those leaders. And by changing the environment in that context, what people are meaning is changing culture, changing societal norms, changing general behavior, changing what people will sign up to, what they will comply with, what they will cooperate with. And I think that's true. I think we've seen examples where, you've got a community of some sort, and if something shifts in the culture of the community, for example, people start becoming more collaborative, people start being more helping each other, being more creative, people are more innovative, people are more risk conscious in a creative way, not just a restricting way, that then alters the behavior and the energy and the conduct of the leaders. And I think many people have seen this. So this is why people do family therapy work, because let's say you have somebody in a family who is seemingly the problem, in quotes. If you then go in and you help that family improve its culture, raise the degree to which love is being experienced and expressed, deal with some of the undercurrents, what's not being said, clear that up, help to heal some trauma that may have been experienced systemically in the family or ancestrally in the family or in that particular demographic or whatever it may be, the person who's, in quotes, the problem has that sometimes magically become not the problem, because the environment that they're living in has changed. And that has altered something for them, which they've responded to. And a place where I saw this very strongly was if I was working with a board in a corporate context, and they'd say, oh, well, everything's fine on the board except for him, that one person. He's the problem. He's the one who blocks everything. He's the one who makes conversations last for days and days when they should have been knocked on the head hours ago. He's the one who takes stupid risks all the time. And the only problem was, if you just get rid of that person, the problem never actually went away. Someone else started behaving weirdly. And often that other person behaving weirdly would think, hold on, I thought I was okay. I thought I was the sane one in the group. And this other person who's gone, I thought they were the problem. I thought everything would be fine. Why am I behaving like this? What's going on? And the chairman is thinking, what on earth? How are we going to... But if you actually change the environment on the board, the culture, the communication styles, the way decisions are made, the way people treat each other, very often the person who's the problem will either become not a problem and will just become a part of a working group, or they will leave. because they are actually not a fit with the new improved culture. This happens as well in the human body. If you notice a symptom in the human body, if you attack the symptom, it may or may not alleviate the problem. And if it doesn't alleviate the problem, you may get another symptom springing up instead because you haven't addressed the environment. Whereas if you address the environment within which the problem exists, the problem may clear up. One good example I had after I'd finished refurbishing my home, well, it wasn't refurbishing, it was furbishing because it was derelict when I bought it. It was a 5-month period. I didn't look after my body while I was doing that. I wasn't stretching. I wasn't going for walks. I wasn't dancing. I wasn't doing yoga. And at the age I was then, not doing those things, I couldn't get away with it. So when this all finished, I had terrible trouble in my knees, a lot of pain. One of them I couldn't put any pressure on when I was walking. It was pretty bad. And the putting the attention on the problem emphasis was expressed by some of my friends who said, "Oh, Catherine, that's no problem. These days they do fantastic surgery on knees. You could get some new knees. You probably won't even have to pay for it. They can do it really quickly and easily, and you'll be absolutely fine. You'll be right as rain." And I know all sorts of people who've had new knees, and I looked at that and I thought, I really don't want to do that. Could I do something else? And what I actually did was I changed the environment within which the knees were living. So I worked on flexibility of my entire body from top to bottom. I worked on hydration. I worked on the energy flow in the body. So I had acupuncture, I had massage, I had yoga sessions focused on softening the entire body, improving the energy flow in the body, strengthening all parts of the body. Interestingly, one of the ways to improve knees is to strengthen the quad muscles, and also to strengthen the glute muscles, and also to strengthen the back. Now, who knew that would help the knees? Because guess what? The whole body is one organism. Yes, there are parts you can identify. Sometimes it's very useful to focus on an individual part and treat that part. But even if you break a leg, for example, yes, you've got to set the leg. You've got to do that. You've got to set the leg and you've got to hold it immobile. But if you also then practice relaxation work, flexibility work for the rest of the body, energy work to keep energy flowing through the body, excellent nutrition, that leg will heal more quickly and better because the entire environment that it lives in is being enhanced. So this works in relationships, it works in organizations, it works in cultures, societies, nations. It works in many, many different applications. You can change something that you want to change by changing the environment that it lives in. Declutter your home and then tell me you don't feel better, and tell me that you don't suddenly feel more creative, more liberated. Bring in the colors that really bring you alive, and tell me that doesn't make a difference. Air the place out every day. Put in plants that help with the quality of the air. All of these things are in your environment. So it's a very, very simple idea, very simple idea. And if you think about it, you've probably been doing this multiple times in your life, whether or not you realize it. If you cast your mind back over your life, when have you altered an environment and then something within that environment has changed or has dissipated or has disappeared? Whether that's a person, a dynamic, an illness, whatever it might be, you will have done this multiple times in your life. So all I'm saying here is being aware of that dynamic is useful because then you can do it consciously. And sometimes it's possible to think, oh no, doing that will take a lot longer than just taking a drug to get rid of this thing that I've got wrong with me, or firing the person, or getting rid of that relationship, or whatever it is. Sometimes you have to do that, but very often, actually, changing the environment actually often is more economical in terms of your energy because it works better and it's more sustainable and it's healthier. So that's something for you to consider. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.